The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
I trust that it's a good evening. My name is Norman Tumihimbi. We are streaming live on our social media handles, and that's the Alternative Uganda Facebook page, Digitalk TV Facebook page, YouTube, the Alternative Uganda. Every Monday at 7 p.m. we have, I want to call them opinion leaders and or leaders in different capacities. We always have our permanent panelists, and most of the time also request some other opinion leaders at different levels to come and also challenge the two. Gladly today we have Honorable Awich Pola, who is in power. In the middle we have Professor Rogers Barigayomwe, who is also looking for power. The extreme end we have Mr. Joseph Ochieno, whose power he lost to Awich Pola. So it's a battle of titans, for lack of another word. I will give you a second.
Well, it was grabbed
okay.
illegally.
Okay, he lost the power to them. It's a Monday, and we are trying to ensure that we add some bit of a break towards the nation building. A summary of today, if I should say, today at 8 p.m., if I'm not mistaken, we're going to have the Uganda Cranes at Nambole with Algeria. We hope that everything goes all right. As far as I know, the president has, on behalf of the government, has pledged some reasonable amount to every win. We hope that they, like the speaker, I think, who called them the boys, we hope that the boys perform to the best and the expectations of the country and their fans. As we move along also doing the politics and governance discussions. Honorable Awich Pola should say hello to our viewers.
Hello viewers, nice to be here. I think we missed last week.
Yeah, sure. We
didn't show up, so it's a good meeting you again, especially on this forum. Like I was sharing with Norman earlier, I had another invitation today for another big media, but I turned down because I trust audience here. Much as I could meet them in the other forum, but I thought since we're already used to meeting here, I had to choose to be principled and maintain my appearance here than choosing to hope to go somewhere else.
Thank you, Honorable. Professor Barigayomwe. He's a chairman, Labour Party, but of course we shall dive into his party on whether or not it is also stagnant. You underline whether or not, but say hello to our viewers, Professor, and then we shall proceed, sir.
Good evening, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here to discuss topical issues, especially the governance of our country. Like I always tell you, Labour Party is not stagnant, but we are well mentored. I'm happy to be here with Honorable Awich, who is my mentor from school. And he's been in government, and we've closely watched their good and bad, and I've also studied from my senior Chen, whereby like they've been in government for some time, and at one time the which is the NRM said we can do it better.
That is how he looks at you when you mentioned they were in government. Sometime, and
yes.
With that sharp eye.
This one said they were better, and they came, and so far now the yardstick is proving them worse on all grounds, by the way. Most of the grounds. So I wouldn't say all, but most of the ground. So now I'm studying carefully to make
those who
sure
lost power and those who grabbed the power, like he said. You're studying both of them.
Yes.
Those that lost the power.
Yes.
And those that grabbed the power.
And as an academician, we say you build a model. So the model should be built on the best, not to rush. Because I've also seen some who have rushed into it and they've even not had the primaries like we are going to discuss.
If I may ask you in a second, and with due honesty, are you proud of your OB and your mentor in terms of performance as an individual and on behalf of the government?
Yeah, as an individual, I'm proud of him because he's one of the people in the party who have been consistent. But, of course, on the level of government and his secretariat, really, it was a shoddy job which we were displayed in the front of the whole country. And remember, this is their thesis. They went to the bush because they wanted to correct electoral democracy and that area of electoral.
We shall reach there. So, in short, you're proud of him as an individual, but not proud of him on behalf of the government, as in totality.
As a government, it was an embarrassment.
Okay. I was before we could even have discussion, I was trying to to make fun of Mr. Ochieno, how things are taking him right center, and he couldn't even remember to come with his red tie, at least to represent our party colors like he always does. Say hello to our viewers, sir, and then we shall dive into the entire discussion. That seems.
I'm very disappointed that you don't recognize that I'm smart.
No. Because our viewers out there know that you will always have something reddish on you, at least something on you.
Actually, UPC colors, red, blue, and black.
Oh, so now you are fully in that combat, black now.
Indeed, and black is actually the African personality. And so you can see how emphatic it is.
Okay.
And you need to defend the red. The new
see?
generation think it is noob.
Yeah, you see?
No, they do. And the worrying thing is that I meet a number of them, including some of their senior colleagues, and you ask them what their red represent, and they haven't a clue. But maybe that is part of the detail of the topic we're going to have. So the burden of responsibility generally lies with us to be able to be the exemplary leaders in every facet, and to try and encourage younger people to follow, as Roger says, that not blindly, and really certainly not to follow individuals, but ideas. But that said, I'm pleased to be here last Monday. I know we're not able to be here, but one of the reasons was because we're celebrating the lives of the great OB of mine, Professor Kanyihamba. I was not able to participate in every part of the sessions, but I was glad that I was able to be at All Saints. And so that said, this business of grabbing and losing, you can't attend All Saints, and you can't attend Rubaga, you can't attend Namirembe, and then you become a grabber. So anyone who boasts that they grabbed power from the people, which was represented by us, that person needs to examine their conscience. So no, it was grabbed from us, and if a thief comes and you're a victim of theft, people should sympathize with you, say, Bambi, they grabbed from me, and particularly they grabbed and then did what Roger said. They've handled it terribly.
The only innocent person we have amidst us is Professor Banugayoma.
He's a young man, so
he is also looking forward to grabbing it from him.
No, actually, in a different way, actually, if you don't want to linking it. His political organization is ideologically linked to the values that I hold. And Rogers, I only wish that more people could understand what the labor movement is and how labor parties are able to be translated into political ideology as a movement. It's very closely linked with us, with UPC. I don't want to make political capital out of it, but really, the Labour Party is really about the Workers' Party. And if you look at questions of unemployment, questions of health and safety at work, and questions of youth unemployment, and questions of environment, questions of terms and conditions and pay and other things, this young man is up to very important stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Our viewers, that's the team of the panelists we have here, and we do not doubt them. We hope that you will definitely enjoy the discussion. I'm sure you must have seen me try to look at this book. Honorable Awich Paula came here just thumping himself, and of course, yes, he's amongst the 11 people whose faces appear on this book, best of the best. And I think, and authored by Fred Sheldon Mwesigwa. I have something, I don't know whether the two gentlemen remember, as someone who follows history and who reads a lot, this gentleman, this bishop, back in the day in 2016 or 17 thereabout, he had said, and he was on record, that he had discovered that Mr. Museveni had been, his birth certificate was, remember, that he's the one who baptized or something like that. He caused a lot of controversy, if you remember. But of course, this time around, he has come up with a book. We hope that what is in this book is as correct. Not to sound otherwise, but it's on record.
Yeah.
I remember him when he said that while he was checking, I think through the archives in Mbara, he would discover Mr. Museveni's baptism card, something like that.
Yeah, he discovered his baptism card.
And everyone was like, oh dear Bishop, okay, so what are you trying to insinuate? Later alone, he threw it away, and of course the amendment bill came on board about the age limit, Article 105. No, 103B, if I'm not mistaken. So anyhow, so Honorable Awich Paula is one of the people on this cover page, best of the best. What stands out for me is that there is an artist here. There's some young boy, I suppose. I think, yeah, there's some artist here who is one of the best. I think they are trying to make a summary of the entire students, Honorable Awich. Yeah, so he's one of them. So I want to believe that he still represents the ideals of entire school, and so is Professor Barigayomwe. You're taking away my powers. Anyhow, so to say, recently, NRM had its primaries, and I want to emphasize, sarcastically, some people have come up to say it was even beyond primaries. Could they have been even secondaries or even a university? Because they were just beyond. And we believe that other political parties will also do the same. As for NUP, it has a different arrangement. It has the vetting process through which they say you go through an interview, the vetting process at the headquarters, and then the 60% of the of such info comes from the field when the team, they say, and I hope they would do that. They would send teams to the entire country to do the the ground check now, to to visit the field and find out how does so and so perform, what do the voters say. That is for National Unity Platform. NRM being, of course, Honorable Awich always says, the mass party. Yeah, it showed the public, the mass party, the power they have when it comes also to violence, and to mention but a few, because they are a mass party, as Honorable Awich puts it. They have over 300 plus petitions, and we are here to now interrogate a political party is even able to, how prepared are they to deal with such post-primaries conflicts. Honorable Awich, if you could summarize for us what your party now went through, and all of this, should we call it chaos? Or it's maturity now and showing that you are indeed a mass party. What stood out for me were two brothers who belong to the retired Justice Batka Turebe, where the elder brother is accusing the young brother for having rigged elections. Just unbelievable. Let's begin from there. How are things at Chadondo? Because I understand the office at which they put their petitions is just opposite yours. How is the chaos, or how is it there? Paint a picture to our viewers, sir.
Well, where the petition is going on now is plot 13. I'm on plot 10, Chadondo Road. It is nearly adjacent, because the thinking was that Electoral Commission should be given its independence, so that a candidate doesn't say he was kicked out, or another says the other one was brought in by the Secretary General or by Director Which or anybody. So we gave them an independence of the Electoral Commission that it deserves, and they are on the opposite side, plot 13. Now, before I dwell into what our topic says, what parties should do in post-primaries, or what we're doing now, I just want to comment on two things in the minutes given to me. One, as we begin, you brought a sense of humor, where I'm in power, removed the Congress people from power, Rogers is watching to come to power. I just want to say that the sense of humor is right and fitting, because we must insist that power belongs to the people. And it must be, whoever will attain it should attain it from the people. People should give that consent.
Is that what you
It
did
is
in 1986?
It is unfortunate that, or it is fortunate that for us, we had a revolutionary struggle, and that revolutionary struggle ended up climax into legal notice number 1 of 1986, which gave power to NRM. But NRM was quick to say, even when you came to a revolutionary struggle, through a revolutionary struggle, please give power to the people, and that's what we did. So whatever the three of us are in whichever position, we should always anchor on the feeling that power belongs to the people. The other thing I wanted to comment is what you have said about the book. This book talks about Ntare School. The thematic concern is that during the war, that school was affected twice. In 79 it was destroyed, and in 85 again it was destroyed. So attempts were made to build it back. And me and Rogers, incidentally, much as my thought appears alone, my contribution that rocketed me up to best of best, we actually did it with Rogers. Only that in operations they can pick a name of a commander or something, but when you can't fight alone. So I remember in one occasion in 94, the results then used to come nationally. These days you said best school in Mukono, best school in Upiji, best school in Tororo. Then schools used to be ranked nationally. And I remember in that results, Ntare School was number 45 in the whole country. Said this is embarrassing. Me and Rogers, we took it upon ourselves to organize a dining hall one evening. Remove the tables, put the desk clean, put the desk, call everybody, headmaster, deputy, teachers, cooks, askari, students, everybody. We sat in the dining from 8 in the evening up to morning at 4. Why this embarrassment? We all interrogated ourselves. And in the wee hours in the morning, a resolution was taken that everybody should do his part. Teachers vote to teach until we pass. Students vote to read until we pass. Cooks vote to cook until we pass. And we could name it. One of us, a close friend of Rogers who had come from Kabale Preparatory with Rogers, Dawoodi, he died, he passed on. Dawoodi came with it on the newspaper monitor that we had declared Operation UNEP. That year, we came 6, from 40-something to 6, and we dominated technology. We sent 18 for technology on government. That is engineering and survey. So that is what it means. So I'm just saying that whatever achievements we did to put that school back, we did it with Rogers. But inside the book, Rogers is mentioned, of course, but not on the front page. So I just wanted, now back to our primary election.
Maybe Honorable, in a second, how does it make you feel to put all your energies onto a single, one school, rather than managing the entire situation the way you manage it at Ntare School, to be a collective as for all of us? I told you here that I'm an OB of Bombo Ame Secondary, where it used to have one block for secondary, another block for primary. So it used to be mixed secondary and secondary and primary school. So how does it make you feel that all your emphasis, because now, on behalf of the government, do you ever find means to forward this, that the energies we use at Ntare School should be also put onto the entire education sector as a whole?
But you're saying, how do I use my energies in one school? The energy I was saying was then, not now.
No, I mean.
So at that time, how could I have used it in Tororo, St. Peter's?
We mean now.
When I was
we mean now as government.
When you're talking now, or you said when maybe you in this case means
government.
NRM.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
No, if you look at the manifesto about education for our party, the manifesto is very clear about education. All attempts are made to harmonize education. For example, there's a strong pillar of every sub-county to have what you call a seed secondary school. And attempts have been made. There are few sub-counties now without seed secondary schools. Because the idea is we don't only have to concentrate on the big schools. At the many UPE, the primary schools, remember the policy is that every parish should have a primary school. And if you're having every parish having a primary school, then you should be able to absorb them at secondary school level. So the government, or in our manifesto, you have now secondary school per sub-county. Seed school, what is called a seed school. But provisions are for traditional schools, other schools which were there. And if you look at the package, it's so well done, where the African Development Bank project for the schools and all that and all this. So attempts are made at in the education sector, especially secondary school sector, which is well articulated in our manifesto. And it is given clearly to the government, because we put that manifesto that if you elect us, we shall execute. So we put it at the disposal of the Minister of Education to execute, right from universal primary education, universal secondary school, with seed schools per sub-county, and the maintenance of the originally big schools, what you call government-aided school. Like Namagunga, for example, it's a missionary school, but government-aided. We give salaries to the teachers and do all that, and the school, the arrangement which is managed is very clear. So what I did with Rogers then was as students, but as a party and government, the policy well articulated in the manifesto.
Would you put your child in one of the schools as established by NRM, apparently? USE in particular?
Personally, I prefer my children going through my school, my entire school.
Let's just hold it there, and of course you have your OB. And you see, the irony in this discussion is that at some point these two are likely to connive and you know, anyway, because they are entire OBs. And
No.
yes, Professor, proceed.
I think
I trust the young man.
we'll
His
be
neighbor, I trust him.
They will caucus. Now,
No,
okay.
we'll be so independent. And for the thing of education, let me start from the point of Honorable Witch, my mentor and my OB. The issue of education is, as pertains NRM, is also one area where I would also think it is an embarrassment. Because, for example, this specific school, Ntari school they are talking about, is a school where President Museveni was and witnessed people who witnessed him at the school, including my father, who was his classmate, that he was not privileged. Including my father, he wasn't that privileged. These are people who had bare foot, and they went to that school, which was established by their government and the British. And at that time, they had a vision for education. Honorable Witch knows recently that members of Ntari school, that's why we tell Ugandans, when you get a thing and give it to people for a long time, 40 years, they even forget the obvious. At one time, our OBs of Ntari school organized to build a gate of 2 billion shillings. And it was alarming to me. I said, you people, you've forgotten
Was it a gate to heaven or what?
where that a 2 billion can build a school.
Yes.
And at that time, if some people didn't build, because that time I know the value of Ntari wasn't even 2 billion, but it was started. But now you people have derailed to the fact that you're building gates of 2 billion. But I wasn't disappointed, because these senior OBs, most of them have houses of over 2 billion shillings. And at that time, they've forgotten. And you know, most of them are liars, that they were rich. They were all peasants, including my own father. They came from peasantry homes, but they forgot that fact. And now you Ugandans who keep saying, hey, Pakalast, you are stupid Ugandans. These are guys who are children of peasants, but a government in time gave them the opportunity that education is one thing which can put them at equal. Because their colleagues in King's College, Budo, at that time those were the king's children and everything. These Ntare boys were all peasants. They are lying to you.
Now, wait a second, Professor. Even him?
No. He's my generation. I'm talking about the generation of the Museveni and my own father and all those. They were peasants who had nothing at their home. Ntare groomed them and has brought them to the very top. Now, when I saw this thing of like now for them they are building gates of 2 billion, yet 2 billion can build schools in this nation. And so it is, and now everyone is excited. Ugandans are giving them all the other years. Naturally, you forget. I will tell you, these people came fighting corruption at one time, because that's the other thing also, they keep lying. Most of them, when they came in 86, they owned nothing here in Kampala, and there is evidence. At that time, they would fear to even, when their budgets were in millions, and they would preserve that million, they would use it. But right now, most of these colleagues you're talking about, even 1 billion is not enough for them. Their projects are in billion. And Ugandans are like, we continue with these guys. They've forgotten, naturally they've forgotten where they came from. They've forgotten everything. They've forgotten the pain of the peasants. So, like Honorable Which is saying, the education is one thing they've totally killed. I was talking with on a panel.
He didn't say
no, what I'm saying, they have a vision for education, but I don't believe in their vision. I would believe Labour Party would do better. I was talking with Pajil Mande, and I told him, ever since independence, 1962, I'm a university don. Education is at its lowest in Uganda. And I want any person, I even today saw professor from Makere saying that professors should be removed from education. Did you see those quotes from the vice chancellor of Makere? I saw a thing that he said that professors should not debate anything to do with politics. Now, this is the kind of nation they've done, that most journalists cannot go to Makere University to quote any professor there. Which kind of killing education is this by the NRM regime? I did my doctorate in South Africa. Nelson Mandela said, you people, the ANC, we've come, they had taken over from the whites. They said, let's first leave the education. Let's gamble with everything, but let's not gamble with the education. And that's why you see up to now, the first ratest, best universities are from South Africa. Uganda, Makerere is getting out. It had never gotten out of the best 40. But in the NRM regime, it is derailing, being beaten by even private university. So, if it is education, the NRM, one of them, I can volunteer to come and help them to do that manifesto he's talking about of education, but it is a disappointment.
Okay. That's a minute.
Yeah,
you were saying, you asked Rogers, when Rogers hinted that at that time, the generation of his fathers from
they were unprivileged and
you asked him, how about me? And he told you that he was referring to the other generation. But I want to tell you who I was when I was in Ntare. Why I fear to answer a question. The question is, when I was in Ntare, my background is peasantry. But maybe I wasn't a peasant, because for us, we went back under the banner of NRA Kadogos. You can't imagine that by senior 5 I was a full lieutenant, and a full lieutenant, therefore, I was paid salary. I was getting salary better than a graduate teacher. So, school fees was paid, and I was getting salary. So it is now you to see, was I a peasant? Was I not a peasant?
Honorable, what he's trying to allude to is like the Bourbon monarchy, learning nothing and forgetting nothing. I think for Professor Rogers, it is to say that the people, you and others, but of course singling out the president, that the school was there for them when they had nothing. So why don't they have the same spirit?
Yes, I understand. But what I was saying, I show you like shying away, or you even felt guilty to ask my status when I was there. I'm saying there shouldn't be a guilt.
So you were doing.
I am just telling you what I was.
Okay.
Because you don't have to feel guilty, or it is not a mockery to ask my status as I was. My status as I was that. I was of a peasantry background, but I was an
individually
army officer because we were paid by the army. We were Kadogos, army child soldiers. Yeah. We are paid salary and paid fees. We are 9, for example, 9 Kadogos in entire school. And the government would send one check for the school fees for the 9. There are more in Mbarai school, 43. Intare was 9 because the cutoff admission grade was higher. So schools with lower admission grade had many more. But still in those schools like 43 in Mbarai school, they still send one check. So I am just saying your question, don't feel any sign of guilt, don't feel any sign of embarrassment. You ask a question and I replied what I was. And I also so I am saying by then, my background is peasantry, but as an individual, an individual, I was getting a salary of a lieutenant.
But also being paid for by the Uganda government.
Yes. So I just answered your question. So you don't need to feel guilty.
Let's proceed to. Let's hold it there, and we hear the reason for which we had to tap into this, of course, a bit because it's also important. It's because Honorable Awich came with best of the best, and of course now bring out the cream. Of course, forgetting most likely other schools. But yeah, say something and then we shall.
Turns out, very interesting.
From Omwiri, for emphasis purposes.
Yes, from the national school.
Okay.
I wanted to congratulate Comrade Awich and to say that amazingly some people will be surprised that if there was a book of the best and possibly, I shouldn't talk myself down, I'm the president, but almost certainly I would possibly, as of today, I would possibly not be amongst the top 10. And the reason is that Mwiri is the national school. Number 2, Mwiri is the most successful school apparently, including in politics, has had the highest record, and that I confirmed only the other year, an amazing way. So privileged in a way. But of course, Ntare is the school with the biggest head. But
it has 2 presidents.
So we had Old Milton, we have Rugunda, we have
Kanyihamba.
The Kanyihambas.
To mention.
By the way, it's genuinely a privilege to have gone through those doors. But number 2, Comrade Awich, Norman, you referred to your old school before. The 3 of us actually owe you a duty to actually congratulate you that if you consider the level of
with this cream of Ntare, Mwiri,
the level of academic
from the barracks
that will come from that you come from an army barrack school that those of us at the schools and colleges would make fun of.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you go ahead and succeed so highly is very important. But I think what is of import is the fact that education is the #1 equalizer. And that, not to chest thump as Uganda People's Congress, we took it on as early as independence. Meaning from 1962, at independence, we committed ourselves that we're going to have universal education, free education, in 10 years' time. This is at independence. And in 1964, we started with fully universal free post senior 4 education. And when he told me that he chose that, they picked it in that way because the higher education was more expensive education. And so that parents who struggle with their coffee, cotton, with youngsters, still subsidized, primary and O-level subsidized, but still much more expensive. I mean, it's still hard for a peasant. So if they struggle with their children primary and then O-level, after O-level, the state takes over. Now, massively, the construction of schools, and this is some of the things that Roger's talking about, the construction of schools, the facilities, the quality of stocking, the teachers, and all the scholastic materials, from the lowest unit to universities, was hugely deliberate investment. The building of deliberate from 1963, deliberate child schools, expansion of Berenyanja, but then you add Nabisose, the Rugals and other things, was a deliberate government policy, center-left political party policy, which should not be partisan. I'm chest thumping, but I'm saying that the Rogers coming into politics today, these are things you should be able to pick and to run with, particularly if we want Africa to compete with China and other spaces. So as a party, very, very proud that we did it like that. But also what was happening then was that whereas I came from St. Joseph's in Agonga, which was not a bad primary school, you know, we came into Mwiri. But I sat in the same class with the best people in the whole country who had come from Kitante Primary School. In 1972, the best people in the whole country had come from Mahanga Primary School in Agonga. I normally talk about these things, but we don't want to make this the topic of the day. But that sort of is it. So as Roger is saying, the space for education was such that peasant kids from anywhere in the country in average school had the possibility to be able to jump in, and once you're able to hit at places like Intare, your livelihood had changed for good. For the moment, whatever happens, I think it's urgent, Comrade Wich. UPC fought and campaigned about infrastructure things up to 15 years ago, and we used to taunt you guys, and sort of you picked it up, although now it's turned into a pot of corruption. But I think it's urgent that, Norman, we push every budgetary cycle, that we put on the spot budget for education, on the spot budget for health, on the spot budget for agriculture, on the spot also budget for security, and on spot budget for this corruption thing, which is the unclassified thing that we give money Museveni for political corruption. We need to urgently do this because it's not an impossible thing. All we just need to do is to rejig our resources. As Roger was saying, this was those days when the country did not have much, but we were able to provide so much for the privileged.
But the NRM comrades will say, we will have a defense that we did not have much, and so was the population. Of course, that's what they always mention.
No, but that's my point. The point is that, okay, by the time they came in when they broke educational systems in 1986, the population per se, at the time, if you look at the population, the GDP, and the GDP that Mr. Museveni is boasting with of today, it is the more reason why we should be having more free education, much more spaces, and much more jobs.
Okay.
So it's no justification for it at all. It's basically about how we prioritize our resources. He's just given an example: 2 billion shillings for a gate. But what is 100 million shillings to an average school in Natiak?
That wasn't government money. It was from individuals like him, and I'm sure Professor Rogers, I'm sure he contributed.
We don't
I
want
could not contribute to that.
to talk about some of those personalities. But finally,
Was it a bulletproof gate anyway?
finally, as a matter of interest, and Mwiri colleagues will see this. Normally, when it comes to these school fundraising things, partly because of my limitation of resources, but partly I'm not very particularly mad. It's important the intervention that you guys do, and we should continue to intervene, to rescue schools and situations. But for me, my view is that Ntare and Mwiri boys and girls of quality, we should emphasize in dealing with the root causes rather than dealing with the symptoms.
Okay, that's Mr. Joseph Ochieno. When we come back to another, set of course of questions to him, he would have to, for some reason, tell the entire world about what is transpiring in the UPC. There is a lot. You see, UPC, and when I mention it, sometimes Mr. Ochieno wants to take it personal, but I mean, it's a political party that sometimes you also wonder who exactly is leading that party, whether it is court, NRM.
You're really enjoying the sickness in UPC, aren't you?
That's why Honorable Awich, he's in his holiday. He just left you with your Uganda house and your confusion. Anyhow, so what about which?
We shall overcome.
Yeah, I know you are the most suitable person to educate all of us. Of course, in regards to what we have watched from some bit of violence, and you said those are isolated cases, which could be a yes or a no. But out of the entire arrangement that you people had, we now have over 300, I think 380 or thereabout petitions. First of all, what do you think could have caused such that, you see people, you ought to be exemplary to the rest of the political parties. What is it that people can learn from you or unlearn from you in regards to how you mismanaged and or managed the primaries?
So many questions there, I don't know.
Because I'm dealing with a brilliant advocate here. I know you will just see you from Ontari, unlike me.
Let me let me hop pick the questions because you put so many in one basket. But possibly the causes, I will try to address the causes. And if you want what you can learn,
Those two.
so I could
He
zero
has
the two
a
questions.
party that is.
Yeah, the causes is that, as I have always said, as a party, and particularly as a secretariat, our core mandate is to recruit people to join the party. We believe that a party will only win election when it has big membership. So we embarked as a secretariat to recruit. Part of the activities to recruit is our engagement on the media, and I thank you for that. Because when I come here and I talk, I'm able to convince a few people who maybe had a different view to join. So in the course of doing this, we recruited so many people to join the party. And as you know, NRM is a mass party. The difference between a mass party and a non-mass party is that you have a party like the Communist Party of China, which China has 1.5 billion people, but only 90 million are members. People die fighting for membership to join the Communist Party of China. But here we have a party where we said the minimum requirement is this. If you agree on this minimum requirement, you become a party member. Therefore, recruit so many. Now, because of the love and the mass popularity of the party, it becomes challenging in having internal democracy. NUP vets, because for example, if NUP goes to Lira, you will either have nobody willing to carry the flag or one person. Will vetting in Lira one person be difficult? Same thing if NUP went to Arua. Either there's nobody or there's one person. Vetting is not. So they'll sit around and try to vet in Buganda where there's NUP. I believe if NUP had a similar big number and the mass support the parties with NRM is enjoying, they will have to sit around the table and devise matters of internal democracy. So part of the causes of the struggle in primary is because of the big numbers. The big numbers generate big candidates, big number of candidates, and therefore choosing them, you need a system. The system, most likely they'll be fighting. The other reason is that people think that because this party is popular, so it is easy access to parliament or to leadership, whether LC5 or mayor. So you have big attraction to candidatures. So many candidates will come.
Maybe the second, Honorable. Does that mean that there are people that that people may consider as opportunists that simply know, so as long as I have Honorable, which is a party card, it's a sure win, I go to parliament, but not the conviction to the ideals of NRM as a party?
Depending your definition of opportunism. Opportunism sometimes is defined to mean taking advantage without principle. But if that is your definition of opportunism, I am saying that they have weighed who is the success team, who is a winning team, and they have allied with the winning team. Whether you call it opportunism, they have taken the right opportunity, so be it. But I am saying it is one of the ingredients of attracting much candidatures. So when many candidates are there, then choosing becomes a problem. Therefore, I think I have dealt partly with causes. But of course, also the other causes is that party members are still not schooled and disciplined to our code of conduct. We have a code of conduct attached to our constitution, which clearly shows do's and do nots, do's and do nots, do's and do nots. So we would expect our party members to understand the ideology and the code of conduct there too. But as you know, the general populace are still not as schooled and educated in the areas of ideology and the area of code of conduct and ethical behavior as such. So all this compound to what you now see into or what is coming out as in the form of petition and quarreling and all that. And of course also some school of thought have argued to say because some people have taken political leadership as an income generating. People think that when you get into leadership, you will earn money. So people always fight to death for this position. And when you have a party where you can access it from, you fight. No, man. There was a time when they used to say the highest paid civil servant or public servant was a director general of this and this, and this. Say director general of URA is getting 40 million. Director general of Kampala City Council is getting this. Governor Bank of Uganda is getting 40 million. Do you know that this 40 million, some members of parliament get 60, depending on the
mileage.
So the money that we are fearing from these big people, somebody goes and gets it. That perpetuates that urge for fighting. So it is a national character. Maybe we are now thinking of how to make leadership less attractive in terms of fiduciary aspects. Some societies have resorted to say you will only acquire leadership when you are seen as having accomplished in other areas, and therefore you are coming on board, particularly for leadership. So that incentives are very minimized.
Do you think that's something NRM can achieve? Or that
is the thinking. So, no. So when you see that, while you're talking of a governor, Bank of Uganda, who could be a PhD holder and carrying that task to control the entire economy, is paid 40 million. Somebody from a given constituency with equivalent, you know, they ask for senior 6.
Or an equivalent.
Said, to enter this race, we need senior 6 or equivalent. Somebody will bring equivalent, not senior 6. And he earns more than the governor. You can see how it precipitates to the fighting. Therefore, part of this fighting you're saying is the anonymity anatomy of the country, not NRM per se, but we take our share of the blame. So I feel I have dealt with the causes of what now crystallize into fights, into petitions that we have in huge number.
Okay. Question to Professor Rogers Badugayoma. We want to, because we may not find, I think scientifically it is proven that you may not find a solution to a problem you haven't identified. So how did you see the NRM primaries? In any case, you're even shying away from holding yours. Will even Labour Party ever have even one single primary? Anyway, proceed.
Exactly. One, I give them credit for attempting the mass one. How I found it is a question of the NRM leaders, who are not very young, especially the historicals. Personally, I'm just in my 40s, but I'm moved by a question. Do I want to measure my life qualitatively or quantitatively? These people who are in their evenings of life, the question should be, what do they want to be remembered for? And to me, I even say, even if it was a former FDC, it was mentored by NRM. What was the problem with FDC succeeding? What is the problem with Labour Party succeeding to NRM? But a leader of NRM coming up to say, I want to kill all the other parties. And he successfully killed them. Now look at the mess in his field. Because of killing all other parties. Because of introducing a bad culture. Because what should be fundamental in NRM should be qualitative, not quantitative now. Because now for them they are looking at the mass and they are not minding about the legacy of NRM, especially as a party which went to the bush because an election was rigged. Right now, all the 42 Ugandans are justified, and even in Awiti's own submission, that we can all now legally go to the bush to fight these hooligans. I mean not the people we saw. You get it? Stealing this vote. So my assertion was that I got, especially as a son of a historical, I felt these guys have murdered their legacy. And there is no, life will not give them another opportunity to redo it. And that is the unfortunate thing. Because like I told you, right now, even at 40, I'm still more bothered about what will be written on my grave.
But Professor, aren't you rather envious that you, under your umbrella of the Labour Party, which of course many are yet to ask, you see, do you even have the authority to question their ill performance when you haven't even organized a mini primary?
No, that's a debate I'm saying. Instead of going massively and I get embarrassed, because I'm telling you, at the age of 2, I was left by a Fronasa fighter. I missed some things as a child for someone who went to fight people because of such vices. I missed a childhood. I missed opportunities. And then I find out you are doing the things
same.
even at a larger scale. That's why I'm telling you, it causes me fear to say, this labor, before I rather not launch it. And the values, like he knows, the values of labor are known universally. Even if I died, and I died at peace with my children, not seeing this scammy Roger. Do you get it? I would rather, like you say. And actually, I even told people that this thing was to expose their DNA, because what came out is that their DNA was more militant. We saw all the military people now they're Democrats, and that's a DNA now of NRM. So this thing is you expose yourself. They say as a monkey climbs a tree, it exposes its nakedness. So for me, I would rather, you asked me, I would rather say no. For Labour Party, I've just laid this small foundation stone. And other people come and take over, than me going and massively exposing myself for generation, because history will never go.
So what should NRM do?
So I wanted to ask him, how differently do you think they should I say they, or had it been in your, had the ball been in your court, how differently would you have managed the situation?
Yeah, like this would have started
we
like
are at organizing.
Yes, at organizing. No, in the first place, if NRM had left FDC to re-establish its structures, half of those members would not be causing confusion in the NRM. They would be in FDC. So now NRM,
they would be confusing FDC.
For example, NRM wouldn't be having the 500 petition because 300 came from what and the other one came from. Yeah. So now NRM wouldn't be having the 500, and he's a lawyer. They are even lying to
and
us.
So you are. So both of you.
Listen, yeah, they are lying to the nation that 30 lawyers can listen to 500 petitions
in less than a month.
In a week, and that the verdict is coming out after a week. And you get, these guys are the most confused guys in this, because how will they do? Yeah? Okay, no. Because this is how they are sitting, and you know, they are sitting a whole day.
The beauty.
Then the next day they are seeing, not that another day they are deliberating. Honorable, you will tell us. At their time when they sit, let's say up to 6 in the night, do they have beds there that now they are deliberating on what they've had, because the whole day was for hearing. And remember, every hour they are listening to other people, these people. Yeah? Now, do they sleep? Are they deckers at the NRM secretariat?
Okay.
This is the most confused party in the whole world now. I don't know how they will deal with this.
Professor, let's hold it there, and we use the 5 minutes to hear from Mr. Ochieno Joseph. And then as we return, I think Honorable Awich Paula will begin with an answer on whether you have deckers there. Do you have borders at Chadondo? But pick it from Professor Bargayom.
You know,
because you also have your problems, and don't kindly also share them.
The most
you also have problems in the UPC. UPC's problem directly as a result of NRA bad losers. When will you
lose elections?
Mr. Wish, in a second, please. When will you take it on and say, okay, whereas it might be true that some of our problems are caused by Awich and the group, but also these ones are our own making. That is what the world waits for. Maybe at some point say, okay, Norman and our viewers, there is that time when we say, okay, these are our own making. Proceed, sir.
You know, when you go to Miri and you study literature, You should expect that well.
And
I have an introduction, a
okay,
process, and
proceed.
a conclusion.
Yeah, we use the
you
5 minutes,
preempted
and
me.
then yeah.
You preempted me. It's actually shamefully shambolic, but I must say that you said it on air, but I think I better just respond to on air. Roger's father left him at 2 to go to the bush, and it's a very courageous observation he's making on air. And I'm not going to talk much about it, but it's a very important observation for a child in terms of the trauma. Number 2, Comrade Witch was telling you something also very important about his own background, including as of peasantry. But we've occasionally said it, but I'm also saying this in good faith, that Comrade Witch was a child soldier. These are traumatic experiences. So you can see the burden of responsibility we have as a country for leadership to emerge. That must then go ahead and create an enabling environment in which we have all the seals and sieves and the healing that these kind of things don't happen again. I went on to become a refugee scholar, and part of my earliest submissions at the University of East London to a part of professors was that part of my drive was that I wanted to write my own story. But Comrade Witch, part of my mission is to ensure that in my lifetime, if possible, that we build an Africa, certainly Uganda, in which no child, and for me I wasn't a child, I was in my 20s, away from university, but I escaped still into very terrible exile, that nobody should be allowed to leave their home, certainly their home countries, against their will. So in a way then you end up with a pan of 3 people with massively traumatic experiences, but in different ways, that I think we've all overcome, and here we are. And considering where we are then, we must have a conversation that answers back to your question earlier. What do we do? I think it's urgent that linked to the question about Comrade Witch and political corruption, the mess and the shambolic mess in which the NRA monetized politics, monetized corruption, and the cries of the young man that people went to the bush and people died for nothing, and the mess we've got today. Something interesting on corruption is, at the peak of political corruption today, is Mr. Museveni, who's not going anywhere. The young man here has told you that he would rather build the foundation for the Labour Party and others come and pick it up and run with it. Mr. Museveni, 40 years on, is not living. But not only is he not living, he's not living, and yet he's presiding over a shambolic state with massive corruption. But not only that, he's also presiding over a state in which is almost apparent his son, is the desired person to come and take over. This is not the Museveni that his father went to fight for and with 45 years ago. Now his son, who at the moment is the army commander, and Comrade Witch, I think you remind me on this. I saw some reports in which it's alleged that young Mr. Mushozi has allegedly arrested generals, could be credible, if it was a uniform thing, if it was a national thing, allegedly for corruption. And some of them, he used some of those colorful languages I'm not sure I should repeat on television, meaning that some of these people should be got rid of, things like that. Now, if then Mr. Mushozi is that serious about this, doesn't he know that this entitlement of his, that brings him to where he is, and then brings him to the level in which his only credible qualification is that he's the son of Museveni, who's ruled this country for 40 years? Just think about that. I'm not then saying for the so-called generals or the army officers who may be in detention are innocent or he's doing the wrong thing. But I think we need to be uniform and universal about this. So in short, I think this country needs an urgent national conversation about corruption, about politics. But finally then on this, I'll tell you about my own party. The answer in part is because of what he says.
We'll handle your party later.
The monetization of politics. Comrade Witch is right, and I've said, I think, on this particular program that the future UPC government and my Labour colleague, we should work on this as a matter of policy. Should urgently review the size of government, including the size of parliament, local councils, and how we finance this organization. I think it's absolutely criminal. Comrade Rich said it. I went to review. The government Bank of Uganda earns 53 or thereabout million Uganda shillings per month. You could even push it to 60. These are not only guys with PhDs, but I can tell you, to reach a level in which you're a principal officer in Bank of Uganda, it's hard work, hard academia. And then you have people who are not actually A-level, yeah, but A-level equivalents, meaning some people whose own O-level qualifications are dubiously suspect, and then the TTT go to the National Assembly, and they cannot even, and it's normally people argue that when some of us, this social class here, argue about people who are in parliament and they cannot express themselves. The issue actually is not about language, but that a member of parliament who does not have the capacity to critique, even in Luganda, to critique
in a second,
a document. Yeah.
In a second to you and of course Professor Bargayomwe, what do you expect of them in a situation where the likes of Bargayomwe do not want to contest and become MPs?
No, it's not that they don't want it. It's a good point.
They have
it's a good point you raised. No, it is too expensive for them. It is too dubious. It's too suspect. And what are
he has all his books. He waits for the other person to carry a wheelbarrow with an equivalent, and he's there.
You want us to give the answer?
He's too decent. He's too decent. You can't face the guns. He's too decent to look for billions to go ahead and still basically.
Viewers, we are breaking shortly and coming back in a second, and of course I'll begin with Honorable Wichpola. But of course we cannot excuse Professor Bargayomwe for just deserting the struggle and speaking a lot of English without picking the nomination forms to contest for MP. We are coming back.